What's up guys, Dark Humorous. We're back with another video. Today we're watching the story of Warcraft, full version lore. So, like I said before, I believe last time I watched World of Warcraft, I said I was gonna do research of the lore.
Wow, that is crazy. I might get into World of Warcraft. Every time I learn of new things, I usually do research about them because I'm very interested in them. And World of Warcraft is something I'm very interested in, so I might want to research it and figure some things out about it.
Yeah. I think it's much easier to watch a video of the lore. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. And I happen to want to watch it with you guys. So if you have no problem with me learning about the lore of this, then sit down and enjoy it, because this mess is 41 minutes long. And there's actually, I've seen there's actually another version. I'm not sure if it's part 2 to this or what. But as of right now, we're gonna watch this and learn about World of Warcraft before I watch more cinemas of it. So that's it. How are you guys? You guys good? Cause I'm doing bad. You know, the past few days, I freaking stubbed my toe. My throat is sore, and someone ate my food.
Hello everyone! From time to time I get the question if I have like a video covering the lore start to finish for someone who's completely new to WoW. I usually pick a
videos by Nobel. I'll leave the link in the description of the original video down below.
It could be handy to give you a summarized version of what exactly happened in the history of Warcraft. As you can imagine, Warcraft has a bunch of lore, so I won't be able to cover all the little details, but I am going to do my best to let you know the global story. In this video, I'll place little links and annotations to videos if you want to go into more details, videos that I've already done over the years, and in the description I'll link my full playlist in chronological order if you want more details.
Gotcha.
With that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy the full story of Warcraft. The origin of the Warcraft universe is unclear. Some say that it was created by a single entity, while others claim that a catastrophic cosmic explosion sent the infinite world spinning out into the vastness of the Great Dark. What we do know is that out of creation, a race of titans emerged. Their mission was to bring order to the universe, and their leaders are called the Pantheon. The champion of the Pantheon, Sargeras, battled against the chaos of the universe, imprisoning those who fought against their mission against their order. Over time, Sargeras saw so much evil, saw how the universe was resisting them, that he began to doubt about their mission. If order was the way to go, then why was the universe putting up such a fight? So he tried to talk about his doubts with the rest of the Pantheon, but they couldn't help him. Slowly but surely, the corruption and doubt took hold over Sargeras, transforming him into a fiery, gigantic being of chaos. He then left the Pantheon behind, he liberated the evil that he had imprisoned over millennia, and he created the Burning Legion. Their purpose was to work against the Titans, to destroy the order they were trying to create, conquer the universe, and bring chaos. Unaware of Sargeras' mission to undo their work, the Titans continued to move from planet to planet, shaping and ordering each of them as they saw fit. Eventually, they reached the planet that we now call Azeroth, and they found that the planet was in pure chaos. The elements were fighting each other, but they weren't fighting willingly. They were enslaved by dark and powerful entities known as the Old Gods, beings who thrive and feed on chaos. The Pantheon and their creations, they battled with the Old Gods and the Elemental Lords. And although the Elemental Lords and Old Gods were extremely powerful, the Titans eventually won. They banished the Elemental Lords to the Elemental Plane, where they were free to fight with each other without causing any harm to the world. They then imprisoned the Old Gods far beneath the world of Azeroth, and after that, they started to shape the land and bring order. They didn't do this just by themselves though. They created several beings to help them with this task, and amongst them were the Giants, Irvin, and several other creatures. With their mission complete, the Titans called the land Kalimdor and they left the world behind. Life had a chance to grow and evolve now, and this planet would be the staging area for most of the Warcraft lore. Around 10,000 years ago, the Highborn were dabbling with magics beyond their understanding. Their power was given to them by the Well of Eternity, and were uncertain if the Titans left this well behind, or if it just popped up when Azeroth itself was born. Either way, this dabbling with magic drew the attention of Sargeras and the Burning Legion. A great war, known as the War of the Ancients, broke out, in which Night Elves, Tauren, Urvan, Furbolgs, Demigods, dragons, and even time travelers teamed up to take on Sargeras, the Legion, and the Highborn. In the end, the Night Elves' resistance won the battle, but it came with a great cost. The Well of Eternity had to be destroyed, since Sargeras was using this pool of power to bring himself to Azeroth. But by destroying it, the well imploded on itself. This caused the land of Kalimdor to shatter and create the continents that we know today. The Legion had its first bite of Azeroth though, and it was not defeated. We only managed to push them back. They did figure out that simply attacking Azeroth would result in failure, so a bigger plan was required. This plan began several thousand years ago with Sargeras finding a planet called Argus. On Argus lived a race known as the Eredar, and they had 3 leaders: Archimonde, Kil'jaeden and Velen. Sargeras realized that this race was powerful on its own, and he wanted them to join his legion. In a vision, he showed them a glorious future in which they would have loving subjects, knowledge beyond worlds, and limitless power. Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, they were directly on board with this plan, but Velen wasn't sure. He meditated on what Sargeras had shown them, and the Naru-Kur, with the help of the Atamal crystal, made contact with Velen. He told Velen to gather his people and get off the planet, since Sargeras was deceiving them, and teaming up with him would mean the end of the universe. Velen did as he was told. He gathered those willing to follow him, and they evacuate the planet in a ship brought by the Naru. Kil'jaeden wasn't happy about this, and he took this betrayal very personal, and he swore that he would find Velen and his people, even if it took him 1,000 years. From that moment on, the chase was on. Velen and his people would settle down on a planet, Kil'jaeden would find them again, and send the Legion after them. Each time Velen would be warned, and each time they would escape the planet before any harm came to them, until the Naru named Kur fell ill and had to make a crash landing on a planet they would name Draenor. Draenor was not an empty planet. There were already several species living there, and amongst them were the Orcs. For centuries, the Draenor and Orcs lived in relative peace with each other. They occasionally traded goods, but for most of the time they just stayed to themselves. All seemed well for a time, until Kil'jaeden found Velen and his people again. This time he decided that sending the Legion would just give the same results. He didn't know that the Draenor were unable to escape, so he came up with a plan. Instead of using his legion, he decided to manipulate and corrupt the Orcs and make them do his dirty work. He planted the seed of fear and doubt in their minds, convinced them that the Draenor were evil, and he gave them the tools and power to exterminate the Draenor. The elements of Draenor, the ones who used to work together with the shamans of the Orcs, they refused to aid them in the battle against the Draenor, since the Draenor were not really the bad guys. To compensate for this loss, Kil'jaeden gifted the Orcs with fell magic, turning them into warlocks. Eventually, the Orcs, they reached the point where there was only one major battle left to fight, the battle at Shafra. To give them the final boost in power that they required, the Pit Lord Manoroth was sent by Kil'jaeden to offer his blood. This blood did indeed give the Orcs incredible powers, but it also made them slaves to their burning legion. Most of the Orcs didn't notice, of course. They thought it was an honorable gift, and they drank it willingly. Now mad with demon blood pumping in their veins, they assaulted Shafra city, and they slaughtered any man, woman and child that they could find. Kil'jaeden, together with Manoroth, they watched this slaughter and they figured that their mission was complete, that Velen was destroyed, so Kil'jaeden left the Orcs to their fate. Unknown to them was that Velen and several of his people, they had actually managed to escape the city before the battle, and they were hiding in Zangarmarsh. It grieved Velen deeply to send so many of his people to their deaths, but the Naru assured him that this was for the greater good, that one day all of his suffering would come to an end, and that he was needed for a greater purpose. With the Draenor defeated and Kil'jaeden leaving them all behind, the Orcs were in a bit of trouble. Most of their land was corrupted, and the demon blood caused them to go crazy and turn on each other. Something had to be done quick before they would exterminate themselves, and thankfully for the Orcs, Sargeras had need of them. Sargeras, in the meantime, had managed to infiltrate the body of the Guardian Medivh, and the Guardian was charged with protecting Azeroth against the Legion and any major threats. He made contact with the Orcish leader Gul'dan, and he told him about Azeroth itself. A planet full of life, water, and plenty of enemies to put up resistance to give the orcs a good fight. Remember that Sargeras wants nothing more than to conquer Azeroth, and this plan was a great one. Even if the orcs were defeated, the planet itself would be weakened, and it would be that much easier for the Legion to take. Together with Gul'dan, they created the Dark Portal, and they began the first Orcish Horde invasion. The real Medivh was still inside his body, and he manipulated events so that when the moment would arrive, people around him would be able to take him out. This happened exactly as he planned it. Sargeras tried to completely take over his body, but they chopped off his head before he was able to. The Orcs' invasion was still on its way though, and Stormwind did its very best to hold against the might of the Horde, and they even did a pretty good job for a while until the King of Stormwind was assassinated. The troops were unable to hold the city. Stormwind fell and its citizens evacuated across the sea to the kingdom of Lordaeron, ending the first war and flowing into the second war. The Horde's invasion was relentless, and they followed to Lordaeron after building ships of their own. This gave the humans some time to form an alliance, which in the end mainly consisted of humans, dwarves, high elves and gnomes.
Humans.
They battled for the
strongest race,
and although the Horde managed to take nearly everything, they nearly won the war.
Strongest.
Eventually they were forced to retreat all the way back to Blackrock Mountain, where the final battle took place. Not even there was the Horde able to stand against the alliance. Some surrendered, some escaped, and some were forced back through the Dark Portal, and the Alliance destroyed it. Destroying the Dark Portal did not break its connection though. That connection was now so strong that Draenor and Azeroth would forever be linked with each other. The Alliance realized this, so while they were rebuilding Stormwind, they also built the Netherguard Keep to keep an eye on the portal in case the Horde would ever return. They didn't exactly know what to do with the orcs who surrendered. They couldn't just send them home since the portal was destroyed. They couldn't just execute them since that was a little bit barbaric. And allowing the orcs to go into their society was just out of the question. In the end, they decided to put the orcs in internment camps and put them to hard labor.
So you made them
now
slaves.
The Horde might have failed their initial invasion, but they now knew that there were more planets out there. Perhaps other planets in the universe might not put up so much resistance. So the Horde, they rebuilt their portal, they reconnected it, and they started their second invasion to collect several artifacts and use those to create more portals to different worlds. The Alliance was still together, despite the scars that are always left behind after the war, and because of Netherguard Keep, they now knew about the invasion far before it got out of hand. The Horde managed to collect the artifacts though. They even teamed up with the Black Dragonflights, and they quickly made their way back to Draenor. The Alliance found out what their major plan was, that they wanted to invade several planets, and they couldn't let the Horde go. They knew what kind of devastation they caused to Azeroth, and they could not allow the Horde to inflict the same pain to different planets. They followed the Horde through the portal. They tried to stop Ner'zhul, the Orcish leader, from creating more portals, but they didn't reach him in time. The portals were created, and not just one portal to a new planet. All over Draenor portals popped up, and this caused the planet to become incredibly unstable. In the end, the Alliance had to close the Dark Portal from Draenor's side to prevent the explosion from spreading into Azeroth. The Alliance expedition then hid away in one of the open portals as Draenor exploded all around them, transforming itself into the planet we now call Outland. The people on Azeroth, they assumed that these Alliance heroes were all dead, but they survived and they made sure that the Orcish threat was kept in check. The idea behind the Orcish internment camps was that it would be a humane alternative to execution, but more often than not they were horrible places and the orcs were treated miserably. The camp known as Durnholt was led by Aedalis Blackmore, and Blackmore had found a young baby orc he named Thrall, which means slave. Thrall's parents had refused to drink from the demon blood on Draenor, and they had told Orgrimmar Doomhammer about Gul'dan's betrayal, and for this, Gul'dan's assassins took him out. They left their son to die to the wild, but fate had different plans for Thrall, and he was taken by Blackmore. Blackmore envisioned Thrall leading the captured orcs for him against the Alliance, so he could rule the world, and that's why he had Thrall trained in the arts of combat, but also taught him how to read, tactics, basically turned him into the perfect leader. Blackmore was also a nasty drunk, and he mistreated Thrall so much that one day Thrall decided that enough was enough. Together with the help of his friend Zarifa, he escaped Durnholt and he found his people who had been able to stay out of the hands of the Alliance. He met with Gromash Hellscream of the Warsong clan. He met with Drekvar and the Frostwolf clan, the clan of his parents. He met Orgrimmar Doomhammer, former war chief of the Horde, and together they liberated their brothers and sisters from their internment camp. lands. Thrall was even able to take out Blackmoor and bring Durnhold to the ground, but Thrall had learned mercy and he learned that not all people were as vile and evil as Blackmoor was. That's why he allowed those who surrendered to step away and he reformed a horde that caused so much devastation to the land of Azeroth. Only this time it would be more of an honorable horde, one not aimed at conquering and domination, but one aimed at trying to forge a peace with the people of Azeroth. One who would try to claim a piece of land for their own and call it home. Sargeras had not forgotten about Azeroth though, and his left-hand man Kil'jaeden had managed to capture the orc Ner'zhul as he stepped through the portal that he had made on Draenor. Ner'zhul had betrayed Kil'jaeden in the past, so Kil'jaeden tortured his soul for a while until he came up with a new plan and purpose for his orc. He transformed Ner'zhul's soul into the Lich King and he sent him down to Azeroth to weaken it and make it ready for a new invasion. This led into the events from Warcraft 3, and these events play a major role for the rest of the lore in World of Warcraft. First, Ner'zhul conquered Northrend and he searched for allies. He found the wizard Kel'Thuzad, whose power and position allowed him to spread the plague across Lordaeron and turned its citizens into the undead. Prince Arthas of Lordaeron was sent by his father to investigate the plague, and together with Jaina Proudmoore he found out what was going on, and his devotion to keeping his people safe led him to the cold heart of Northrend, where he eventually found the blade Frostmourne. This weapon allowed him to take out the Dreadlord Mal'Ganis, but it also sold his soul to Ner'zhul.
I'm sorry, Arthas. I can't watch you do this.
Jaina didn't follow Arthas to Northrend. She thought that what he was doing was not the right way and that he was going too far. After Arthas purged Strathhome, she received a visit from the prophet Medivh. Medivh was resurrected by his mother and on a mission to stop the Legion invasion and fix the mistakes he had made while under the influence of Sargeras. He told Jaina to take her people, the people of Lordaeron who were willing to follow her, and take them west to the ancient lands of Kalimdor. Medivh did the same with Thrall, and while traveling, Thrall met up with the troll Sen'jin and the Darkspear tribe. Sen'jin lost his life to Murlocs and a Naga, so his son Vol'jin took over and he allied himself with Thrall. They then met the Tauren led by the old bull Cairn, and after Thrall helped him out, Cairn joined the Horde in its mission. Eventually, Jaina, Cairn and Thrall, they found themselves in the presence of Medivh himself, and he explained to them what was going on. That the Legion was invading, that it was his fault that the orcs invaded Azeroth in the first place, and he told them that they should have to team up. You have to understand that this was unheard of. Humans and orcs working together was just unimaginable, but for the greater good, they did. In the meantime, Ner'zhul and his crew, they were working for the Legion, and Arthas was sent on a task of resurrecting Kel'Thuzad. For this, he would need a great fountain of power found in the High Elf Kingdom of Quel'Thalas. The High Elves tried to defend their lands, but they failed, and in the end, High Ranger Sylvanas Windrunner was turned to a Banshee and forced to fight her own people.
Finish it.
Alright.
I deserve a clean death.
After all you've put me through, woman, the last thing I'll give you is the peace of death.
No, you wouldn't dare.
The Sunwell was corrupted by using it to resurrect Kel'Thuzad, and the High Elves were so addicted to this magical source of power that they now had to find a new source to cope with their addiction. Their prince, Gilfas Sunstrider, decided that they should now become Blood Elves in honor of all those who had sacrificed themselves trying to defend their kingdom against Arthas and the Scourge. Kel'Thuzad, now reborn as a Lich, he used the Book of Medivh to summon Archimonde into Azeroth. Archimonde had been there during the War of the Ancients, so he knew about Azeroth's resistance and which forces he needed to take out, so he set his eyes on the World Tree Nordosil and the Night Elves, those who had caused him so much trouble before. Archimonde had also brought the Pit Lord Manoroth with him, and Manoroth was put on the task of reawakening the orcs' slavery to the Legion. He placed a pool full of demon blood near Ashenvale, which Gromhelscream found, and he orders his troops to take a drink. This boosted their power, and this allowed them to conquer the land, but it also placed his people in the hands of Manoroth once more.
No!
Thrall and Jaina, they found out about this. They managed to save Grom's soul from Manoroth's influence, and in an heroic act, Grom sacrificed himself to take out Manoroth and free the rest of his people once and for all.
I have freed myself.
And he died.
No, old friend. You freed us all.
Rest in peace.
As Archimonde made his way to Nordersil and the Night Elves, he found Tyrande Whisperwind leading all of them. She managed to escape a direct confrontation, she woke up her mate Malfurion Stormrage, and liberated her longtime friend Illidan Stormrage from his prison to fight against the Legion. Illidan was imprisoned by the Night Elves themselves for his crimes during War of the Ancients, but for Tyrande, he was willing to fight the Legion. His twin brother Malfurion thought that this was a very bad idea, so Illidan left them and he fought his own war against the Legion. Eventually, Thrall, Jaina, Cairn and the Horde, they found the Night Elves led by Malfurion and Tyrande, and together they took on Archimonde. They actually managed to defeat this powerful being, but it came with a great price. The World Tree Nordersil, the one thing that gave the Night Elves their immortality, it was blown up and destroyed. With enough time, the tree would heal though, but the immortality of the Night Elves was gone. A small price to pay for the survival of Azeroth, and with his mission complete, with the Legion invasion prevented, Medivh stepped away and took his place amongst the legends of the past.
I came back to ensure that there would be a future. To teach the world that it no longer needed guardians. The hope for future generations has always resided in mortal hands. And now that my task is done, I will take my place amongst the legends of the past.
Azeroth was not yet saved though. The Legion invasion was pretty much over by this time, but Ner'zhul the Lich King, Arthas and Kel'Thuzad were still out there. Ner'zhul had no intentions of staying under the control of Kil'jaeden, so he had Illidan manipulated to mess up the Legion's plans, and by extension breaking himself free. Kil'jaeden realized that Ner'zhul was becoming too much of a threat, so he himself made contact with Illidan. He told him to take out Ner'zhul, and as a reward Illidan would receive the power he desired. Illidan did his very best, but unfortunately he was unable to succeed in his mission. He even teamed up with Kil'jaeden's Sunstrider and Lady Vush, but his brother Malfurion prevented his first attempt of destroying Ner'zhul from a distance, since this would also have destroyed the land of Northrend itself. This attack did weaken Ner'zhul though. Sending Frostmourne to Arthas had created a crack in the ice which enveloped Ner'zhul, and this attack by Illidan made the crack even bigger. Ner'zhul's powers were rapidly pouring out of him, and he ordered Arthas to immediately come to Icecrown and merge with him. Arthas was infused with the powers from Ner'zhul. He was a Death Knight now, and losing a portion of these powers meant that he was also losing control over the undead. The Banshee Sylvanas managed to regain control over herself, and she even regained her body. She was pissed off with Arthas about what he had done to her and her people, so she plotted her revenge. She shot Arthas with a poisonous arrow, which did not kill him, but it did stun him. An instant death was too good for this butcher. Sylvanas had other plans in mind for a slow and painful death. Before all of this could happen, she was discovered by Kel'Thuzad, he saved Arthas' life, and he forced Sylvanas to retreat. Sylvanas wasn't the only one who was able to break away from the Lich King's command, and she swore that she would have her revenge. Those willing, those able to break free from their control, joined her and made her their queen, the Queen of the Forsaken. They took the capital city of Lordaeron, which once belonged to Arthas' father. They made it their home, while Arthas made his way to
that elf I seen on the last
The frozen throne is
World of Warcraft I seen?
Step aside. Leave this world and never return.
Savannah.
If you do, I'll be waiting.
Pretty sure she's that elf.
I've sworn to destroy it, Arthas. It must be done.
Never.
Illidan was hot in pursuit of Arthas, and he almost succeeded in his mission, but in the end Arthas defeated him in combat in front of Icecrown. This meant that Arthas merged with Ner'zhul, becoming the Lich King himself, and he left Illidan in the snow to die. Illidan didn't die though. His allies, Lady Vush and Kil'jaeden, they picked him up, they dragged him back to Outland, where they prepared their forces for the inevitable wrath of Kil'jaeden. This pretty much concludes the storyline of Warcraft 3, and in the end Thrall and Jaina decided to build a new home for their people. Jaina built Veremore, while Thrall built Orgrimmar, and they built these cities close to each other to try and keep the peace between human and orcs going. Old hatreds die hard though, and Jaina's father, Admiral Dalen Proudmoore, he showed up to teach his daughter how to handle orcs. He wanted to fight them, since he also fought with them in the First and Second War, and he didn't understand that these orcs might be different. Jaina disagreed with her father. She had fought with Thrall and the orcs in the Torrent side by side against the Legion, so she knew that these orcs were different, and she stepped away from her father. She did nothing as the Horde retaliated against her father, and in the end the peace between Jaina and Thrall would last for a long time. Sad to say, the same can't be said for the Alliance and Horde as a whole, because this brings us to the World of Warcraft expansions.
4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
Like I said, old haters die hard. War has returned to the lands, and Alliance and Horde are at it again. They don't call it Warcraft for nothing, but the teams have changed a little. The Alliance of Lordaeron was the old name for the Alliance, and that one pretty much disappeared when the Dark Portal was closed to save Azeroth. The new Alliance consists of several races, with each having an individual leader. The humans, mainly from the rebuilt Stormwind, were first led by Anduin, and later taken over by his father Varian Wrynn. The dwarves from Ironforge, led by Magni Bronzebeard, the gnomes from Nomergon, led by Gelden Mekatork, and the Night Elves, led by Tyrande Whisperwind, while also having a little bit of a power struggle with Archdruid Vandrel Stackhelm. The Horde still has the Orcs, with the Warchief Thrall as leader of all the races in the Horde, but all the leaders do have a say in what the Horde does. The Taurens are still led by Cairn Bloodhoof, the Darkspear Trolls still led by Vol'jin, and surprisingly, the Forsaken led by Sylvanas Windrunner. The Forsaken were in a bit of trouble when they took on Lordaeron, since the Alliance would never accept their former brothers and sisters living with them as the undead. Not after all the events with the Scourge and Arthas, they just saw them as the Scourge themselves. Sylvanas had sent out several letters asking for aid and a faction to team up with, and eventually Thrall allowed the Forsaken to join the Horde. He allowed them to join after Archdruid Hamul Runetotem convinced him, since Hamul believed that there was potential for redemption for the Forsaken. Those are the factions on both the Alliance and the Horde. Now the story during Classic World of Warcraft, it was all over the place. This was our first chance to see Warcraft in a much larger environment. It was no longer an RTS, now it's a full-fledged 3D world, but not much of a consistent story. Basically, it comes down to Horde and Alliance fighting each other over different pieces of land and for different reasons, while also making sure that the world itself isn't taken over by any bad guys. This is a theme that returns in every expansion, and for this one we took on Ragnaros the Fire Lord, Onyxia and Nefarian, both children of Deathwing, Cthulhu, one of the old gods, Hakar the Soulflayer, the blood god of the Gurubashi Trolls, and finally Kel'Thuzad, who assaulted the world with the floating citadel known as Naxxramas.
You are not prepared.
During the Burning Crusade, the Dark Portals reopened by Doomlord Khazak, and we got a first look at the worlds known as Outlands. The Draenei, led by Prophet Velen, the same Draenei who were nearly slaughtered by the First Horde, they made their way to Azeroth and they joined the Alliance. The Blood Elves were being led by Lor'themar Foran, while their Prince Kil'Thuz was hanging out in Outlands with Illidan and Lady Vash. The Blood Elves had lost nearly everything to Arthas and the Scourge, and they teamed up with the Horde.
You do not need to do that.
In Outlands, we found out that Kil'Thuz had sent his forces, presumably in order of Illidan, and they attacked the Naru Adal in Shafra. The Naru are hell-bent on fighting the Legion. This is also part of the reason why they saved the Draenei so many years ago. So attacking them doesn't really make sense if you fear the wrath of Kil'jaeden. The lore in the Burning Crusade was also a little bit messed up. They started to pick up their game during Wrath of the Lich King, and in the end we took out Lady Vash, we took out Illidan, and we even took out Kil'Thuz's Sunstrider. Kil'Thuz had switched sides and was no longer working for Illidan. Now he was working for Kil'jaeden and the Burning Legion itself. This was not what the rest of the Blood Elves wanted, so they turned against their own prince. Kil'Thuz and the Legion, they tried to bring Kil'jaeden into Azeroth, but we prevented it and we saved the world. As a bonus, Prophet Velen reignited the Sunwell by using the core of a fallen Naru, giving the Blood Elves a chance at a better future, while also giving them back their source of power.
Salvation, young one. It waits for us all.
Now going back to Outlands gave the Orcs a chance to see what happened to their planet, and Thrall found Garrosh Hellscream, son of Grom Hellscream, and he told him about how Grom sacrificed himself to liberate their people of their demonic enslavement. Garrosh decided to follow Thrall to Azeroth, but he couldn't understand why
they got a comment of this?
and be peaceful with the Alliance. In his eyes, they shouldn't beg or ask or negotiate. They should conquer like true Orcs, like the original Horde. Garrosh still had a lot to learn, but Azeroth doesn't give time for peace. Arthas the Lich King woke up after years of meditating on his life, building up his forces, and it was time to conquer the world. His converted Death Knights were sent to Assault Light's Hope Chapel to draw out the powerful paladin known as Tyrion Fordring. The plan worked perfectly. Tyrion was brought out into the open, but Arthas' betrayal led to Tyrion purifying the Ashbringer and the Death Knights of the Ebonblade teaming up with either the Alliance or the Horde.
The Argent Crusade comes for you, Arthas!
Together they marched onto Northrend and Icecrown itself, taking down any challenge placed before them by the Lich King. They even took on the Blue Dragon aspect Malygos, who had decided that mortals were abusing magic and were no longer allowed to have any of it. This started the Nexus War, in which we teamed up with the Red Dragonflights and we took out one of the 5 dragon aspects. Meanwhile, the old god Yogg-Saron, he was trying to break out of his prison. We also took him out, but at the Wrathgate, tragedy struck.
What? Did you think we had forgotten? Did you think we had forgiven? Behold now, the terrible vengeance of the Forsaken!
Okay. Connecting.
Sylvanas, in her quest for vengeance against the Lich King, had her people working on a plague that would eradicate both the living and the undead. She planned to use this against Arthas and his forces, but she was betrayed by her own people, who used it against the Alliance, the Horde and Arthas, and against anyone there at the Wrathgate. They then took the Undercity from Sylvanas, but Varian and Thrall, they went in, they took out those responsible, and they liberated the city. Sylvanas had her city back, so it was time to march upon Icecrown and take on the Lich King himself. Everything Arthas had worked for, testing the heroes, molding them into the ultimate champions, that worked perfectly. In the end, he was able to instantly kill all of them, and he was about to convert them into his army, but Tyrion and the Ashbringer shattered the Blade Frostmourne. Thousands of captured souls broke out of the blade, they held Arthas up into the air, while we finished the job. There must always be a Lich King though, to keep the Scourge in check. If not, the restless Scourge would just go out and destroy everything in their path. Tyrion was about to place the helmet on his head, take that position as the Lich King, but Bolvar Fordragon stopped him. Bolvar, former hero of the Alliance who died at the Wrathgate, was resurrected by the dragons, and he stepped up and he placed the helmet on his head.
Tell them only that the Lich King is dead, and that Bolvar Fordragon died with him. Now, go. Leave this place and never return.
It's kind of cool.
The Black Dragon aspect Deathwing had been spending his time recovering from his wounds, and now the old god N'Zoth told him that the time had come. The time had come to shake the world and cause the cataclysm, with the end goal of bringing about the Hour of Twilight. The Hour of Twilight is the moment in which the old gods break free out of their prisons and rule the world once more.
The whole of Azeroth will break.
Dang, Azeroth is... They still in danger. Like, why are these people constantly want
This
to destroy that
cataclysm
place?
literally reshaped the world, and it broke down the big wall around Gilneas. The people of Gilneas, they were hit by a curse, which transformed them into Worgen, and after going through a ritual, they managed to regain their sanity while keeping their Worgen powers. Entering the Alliance wasn't that easy though, since Varian disliked the Gilneans. But after fighting Garrosh together, Varian decided to let them in, and he became the High King of the Alliance. The goblins of Kazan also felt the cataclysm, and their island was destroyed. Thankfully they met with the orcs, they saved Thrall's life, and they teamed up with the Horde. Thrall felt like he should find out more about his shamanistic side in order to save the world from the cataclysm, so he left the Horde to travel to Outland, and he made Garrosh the war chief. In Outland, Thrall was told what his parents would have named him, namely Goel, and he found the love of his life, Agra. Together, they explored the world of shamanism, teamed up with the dragon aspect, helped Caligos become the new blue aspect, and they used a bunch of time travel to take out Deathwing. Both the Alliance and the Horde, they got the pleasure of following Thrall around for the entire expansion, and they helped him out with defeating Deathwing.
We dragon aspects have fulfilled our great purpose, and our ancient power is expended. But though our day draws to an end, life endures, and new generations will be born.
She's kind of ugly.
Today's victory belongs to all who stood against the shadow. You are Azeroth's true guardians, and the future of this world is in your hands. For the dawning of the Age of Mortals has begun.
With Deathwing defeated, the Aspect fulfilled their mission, and they lost their Aspect powers while also losing the ability to reproduce. Now placing Garrosh's war chief caused for a bit of trouble, since not all of the leaders of the Horde agreed with Thrall's decision. Cairn, leader of the Torrents, even went as far as to challenge Garrosh to a duel after a peaceful meeting between druids was attacked by orcs. Cairn believed that Garrosh was behind this attack, but it was actually organized by the Twilight Hammer clan, the clan who want nothing more than to bring about the end of the world. Garrosh tried to scare Cairn out of this duel by making it a duel to the death, but Cairn had honor and he willingly agreed. He might have actually won the duel was it not for Megafor Grimtotem, who poisoned Garrosh his weapon. One single blow felled the mighty bull and Garrosh ended Cairn's life. This was what Megafor had hoped for, since she had always hated Cairn and she assaulted his city and took it over. Thankfully, Cairn's son Bane was able to escape the city in time. He got help from Jaina Proudmoore to take his city back, and they banished Megafor forever. Garrosh wasn't behind this betrayal. At the time he was still fighting with honor, but tensions were building within the Horde and would rise to a boiling point during Mist of Pandaria. After a moment of honor during the Cataclysm, Garrosh now decided to bring all-out war back to Azeroth. This started with the bombing of Fedamore, in which he used dishonorable tactics and literally dropped a mana bomb on the city itself. This pissed off the Alliance, of course, and even his fellow Horde leaders did not agree with his methods. Jaina Proudmoore was about to flood the city of Orgrimmar in retaliation, but Thrall and Kalec were able to talk her out of it. Shortly afterwards, Prince Anduin Wrynn set sail to resume his studies with Velen the Prophet, but along the way they ended up in battle with the Horde and their ship crashed on the land known as Pandaria. The Alliance then receive a distress call from the ship and they quickly go to recover their prince, while Garrosh sees this as a new land to conquer for the Horde. Sending the full might of both factions would take too long though, so a small expedition is sent in first while the remaining troops get ready to help them out.
To ask why we fight is to ask why the leaves fall.
The land of Pandaria itself is a land rich with history. In ancient times, the Titans battled with the old god Yashiraj, and they actually killed this old god. In his final moments, Yashiraj unleashed his final breath, which infected the land with the Sha. Sha are creatures who feed on emotions, so the people who live on Pandaria, they had to learn how to control themselves. The only thing left of Yashiraj after killing him was his heart, and the Titans placed it in a container and hid it away deep in the ground. Over time, the Mogu, creatures created by the Titans to help them fight and shape the land, would be corrupted, and instead of fulfilling the mission of the Titans, they started to enslave the people of Pandaria. The Pandaren spent centuries under the iron rule of the Mogu, but by mastering how to fight with their bodies instead of weapons, they were able to overthrow the Mogu and become rulers of Pandaria themselves. This created the first monks in history, and from this point on, the Pandaren and Pandaria would be ruled by emperors.
And when they rose as warriors.
Adventurous Pandaren could not just sit on a single island, and sometimes they would leave the island to explore the worlds. Those that decided that Pandaria was too small to contain their spirit for adventure joined Lu Lang on his giant sea turtle known as the Wandering Isle. They lived their lives without interfering with the Horde or the Alliance, but one day a ship crashed on the turtle, greatly injuring it and introducing the Horde and Alliance to the Pandaren. After healing the turtle and interacting with both factions, the Pandaren of the Wandering Isle decided to seek adventure and join either the Horde or the Alliance. As I mentioned earlier, Pandaria is infected with the Sha, and the Horde and Alliance, they never learned how to control their emotions. On top of that, they also brought their war to this peaceful land, and this caused a whole bunch of problems. The Sha was feeding on their emotions, so it grew in power, broke out of their prisons and corrupted whatever they could. The Mogu, they used the opportunity to rise up again, while the Mentit, an ancient race who worship Yashiraj, they found their queen to be corrupted by the Shah. Leishen the Thunder King was resurrected by the Zandalari trolls who had come to Pandaria to find a new land to live on. All in all, our arrival on Pandaria caused mayhem. We were set on the task of cleaning up our own mess, while the Alliance also searched for Prince Anduin. Garrosh had his horde looking for more powerful artifacts to add to his army, and this quest pushed the horde leaders even further away. Vol'jin had already spoken out against Garrosh, and he followed his horde chief to Pandaria to keep an eye on him. Garrosh sent Vol'jin on a mission to investigate a cave, which was said to hold incredible powers to shape and create life. He told the orcs that would join Vol'jin to take out the troll if he gave any sign of treason, and when they reached the cave, Vol'jin realized that this was dark magic.
Garrosh playing God. Naked monsters. This ain't what the Horde is about.
Twisting and shaping life was not what the Horde was all about, so he spoke out against it, and the orcs tried to take his life. Thankfully, the heroes of the Horde managed to stop them before they could finish the job. Vol'jin recovered from his wounds, and he returned to lead the rebellion against Garrosh and his true Horde. Even the Alliance joined this rebellion to put Garrosh out of the mantle of Horde Chief, and together they seized Orgrimmar and took out anything Garrosh placed in their paw. Even the mighty Horde Chief himself, powered by the heart of Yashiraj, was unable to stand against the combined might of the Horde and Alliance, which meant that Garrosh's tyranny had finally come to an end.
You disappoint me.
Kill him.
Garrosh. You are not worthy of your father's legacy.
Oh.
Punishment is not for you alone to decide. I won't let you take him. We have all suffered from his atrocities. My people, more than any other. Let him stand trial in Pandaria. There, we will mete out justice for all.
No. He's part of my race.
Or
Whatever.
maybe not. Vol'jin becomes the new war chief. Garrosh is going to be put on trial to decide what to do with him. Bane is put on the task of defending Garrosh, while Thrawn the Whisperwind makes a case against him. In the end, the trial didn't matter though, since Garrosh was allowed to escape with the help of the Bronze Dragon Count.
Oh,
Together,
goodness,
they stepped through a portal, which sent them back in time to an alternative reality.
This is why you
This
should've let him
reality
kill
is
them.
set on Draenor in the past, before it became corrupted and turned into Outland, around the time of the first Horde invasion. History is going to repeat itself with a couple of twists, since this so-called Iron Horde will once again connect the Dark Portal and try to invade our reality in our current time period. This leads us into the upcoming expansion Warlords of Draenor, in which heroes of the Alliance and the Horde team up once more to battle over the fate of Azeroth. Time will tell where the story might go, but for now, this is the story of Warcraft as we know it, at least in a very short version. Like I said at the start, if you like more details on certain subjects, I'll link my playlist with all my lore videos in chronological order. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. It took quite some time to make it, but I'm very happy that I got it done. Now, whenever someone asks me for a beginner's guide to lore, I can just link them this video, and if you truly enjoyed this video, I invite you to do the same. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time, guys, see ya!
Thank you for the video. What is this?
Who will stand against us?
Alright, cool. That's very informative. So, I don't know what 2.0 is a continuation or what. I'm just gonna watch a little clip. Hold up. Look, he even got a video that says the classic of World of Warcraft. Classic World of Warcraft. What is that? I don't know. I might check that out too. Got a lot of videos to watch. We'll get to them. But as of right now, that's it. That's all for right now. So, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.